Good evening. It is Tuesday, April 26th, 2016. My name is Jacob,
And I'm Danielle.
and we are the Proteus Podcast. Ideas in all shapes and forms.
So, how are you doing, Jake?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm not at work, and that is nice.
You have the inventory coming up, do you not?
That's what they tell me, so that means hours of insanity, madness, boredom, frustration, swearing.
Would some call it the great accounting?
Some would. And really, it's just more of a scathing review of how bad we do our jobs during the rest of the year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, give me past examples.
Well, it's not so much that there's really good examples. It's just that you start going through the back room, figuring out what we have and how many of them there are. And you keep finding all the little mistakes people have made that have accumulated over the last 3 months.
Okay.
4 months. I can't math.
So, is it better to have too much or have lost too much?
It's better to
Because I would imagine both are bad.
It's both are bad. Neither of those are the lesser of two evils. If you stray into those territories, you have made a dire mistake.
So, if you end up with a ton of regular yellow mustard, it's bad. Like you've gone too far. Life has come to an end somewhere because you have too much mustard.
Not entirely quite that dramatic, but it's much more subtle than that. It's, does this aisle have approximately the same number and dollar amount of product that it compared to what it had 4 months ago at this same count? And if there's vast differences, you wonder where someone made a mistake or why something's not getting ordered.
Okay. So I'm just a little bit fascinated by the grocery store world in which you live. I mean, I've always wondered, it's like, what happens if I know with, for instance, when I worked at GameStop, if the inventory was messed up, hell came down from the corporate office.
See,
it's like, how dare you lose more than something that you don't need?
Yeah, we've never strayed so far to have a problem in the time I've worked here. Generally, we're within a couple percentage points one way or the other, and usually we've improved over the previous inventory, which someone else does the math, and I don't yet fully understand all the ins and outs of it. But basically, we count how much product is in the store, compare that to what it was the previous inventory. Usually, they should be very similar to the same amount because that's what they are. And then behind the scenes, someone else runs the numbers on how much sales we did in every department over the previous third, because we do our business in thirds for some reason, and compares it to the sales from the previous third and the sales from the equivalent third the previous year, and sees if we have improved or somehow managed to lose vast amounts of money.
So that's where the great accounting happens.
The great accounting happens in corporate, and we find out about a month after inventory if we failed to make an improvement over the previous quarter and over the previous year's quarter.
Okay.
Yeah.
But so far, y'all have been an A-star team.
We've done pretty well. The part I spoke of where it becomes a scathing review of our performance over the year is me going through the back room and going, why is there 27 cases of pickles? Why didn't somebody say we keep getting these pickles and the shelf is full? Things like that. Or, here's a box half full of mustard and Jell-O pudding. These shouldn't be together and they'll all fit on the shelf. Why is this still back here? Yeah, things like that just make a manager angry because you see someone decided, I don't feel like doing this, I'll put it in the back.
Why do I have so many pickles?
Why do I have to do my job? I'd rather not. And that's what, that's the hard part. Is going through that, finding all that, being angry, dealing with the anger, getting cancer,
Okay. I get you. I understand the dilemma of inventory and why you are now enjoying the time before it.
Yeah.
Thank you for educating me.
because tomorrow's the real day where I have to count a lot of things and add them up and not screw up.
All right. So you're resting the math brains.
Yeah, I get to use a calculator.
Calculator.
But it's a vaguely daunting task when you look at you like, I've got all this stuff and I have to get each one of them out, scan them, see how much they cost, count how many they are, write it all down, multiply those, and then write that down, and then add up the total of everything. And it's going to be a couple thousand items.
A couple thousand.
Probably.
I think that you can live with it.
I can. I've done this more than once. But every time you kind of look at it and you're like, again.
So anything in the tech world that has you peak of interest? I mean, not to take away from the riveting conversation of the great world of grocery store management that led us down.
Yeah. Our fans are rabid grocery store enthusiasts.
We have fans?
Our fan is a rabid grocery store enthusiast.
Yay!
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Mom. Tech world, what's going on? Lots of cool stuff with self-driving cars these days.
Tell me about self-driving cars.
Self-driving cars.
I heard,
it's getting wild. I'm seeing some videos. I've ridden in a car that'll kind of do that now. That's what's crazy is like there's so much self-driving capability available already that like it's kind of a halfway hack to do it. I watched a video of a guy a while back, and this has been maybe a year ago even. I think it was in a brand new BMW. Either that or it was a Mercedes, I forget. It's been a while, like I said. It's more than a year.
One of them fancy cars.
One of them higher-end luxury cars. And it has the radar car-watching braking system, so it keeps an eye on the traffic in front of you and slows down if the car in front of you slows down and maintains safe driving distance. And it's got the cameras that watch the stripes and such on the road, and it has the self-correcting steering so that it will center you up in the lane if it feels you drifting, if it senses you're drifting from one side to the other.
Okay. Right?
All those features only work if it senses a hand on the steering wheel. Meaning you have to be touching the steering wheel, and it basically feels the weight of your hand pulling the steering wheel from one side or the other, and allows that system to be active. So it knows you're there at the driver's seat, you're touching the steering wheel, and so on and so forth. Well, this gentleman in this video discovered that if he duct taped a Coke can to his steering wheel, it provided enough weight for the sensor to believe he was there. And so he set his cruise control, crawled into the passenger seat, and let that car drive him 60 miles down the interstate.
That seems like a terrible idea.
It is a terrible idea, and I do not recommend anyone ever doing this because I can't even, if you die, it's going to be your fault, and if other people die, it's going to be your fault, and there's no good way that could end if anything goes wrong. But the car literally watched the traffic, maintained distance, kept him centered up in the lane, and down the freeway he went.
So here's my question. Where's the state patrol?
That passes him and sees there's no one in the driver's seat? This is that whole rule of when there's never a cop when you need one, and there's always plenty of them when you're doing something stupid.
Yeah. Oh, goodness gracious.
Yeah.
So that's weird. Now, what about, so how does it know the difference between you, changing lanes and you're drifting into the right lane of traffic?
Turn signal.
Turn signal? Oh, so it's going to force people to use their turn signal?
I sir hope so. These features are in cars already, though. My boss's new F-150 Platinum Edition regional boss, brand new pickup, has the lane keeping features and the auto braking and all that sort of stuff. He turned most of them off because if you're an old school driver and not used to them and don't want, it's really super weird for your car to jump back into the lane when you're just sort of cruising along. He says it's unsettling when you're not expecting it, so he's turned those features off. But they're putting them in everything now.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. The only non-driving or self-driving car stuff I've seen has either been on like a YouTube video where something goes really wrong, or it's been on Top Gear where they just can't trust the cars at all.
Yeah, because they're naturally not going to do it. I saw a really fascinating article just the other day, though, that I believe it was Ford, actually, in one of their new cars. They tested a self-driving system, and this, because most of the self-driving systems, like I said, use an optical camera to track what's going on around them. So this car is equipped with LIDAR, which is a laser infrared radar. Basically, it's radar, but it uses lasers.
Lasers.
And then it uses a extremely high-resolution topographical maps that it's pulled in from, like, that you get from USGIS and stuff. And then it uses a landmark database. And they ran this thing through an open road obstacle course in the pitch black night, no moon, with no headlights, and it stayed on the road and followed the course perfectly. Because it uses the laser system to basically use infrared light to light up the world, and then it doesn't just use the GPS location, it uses the topographical information as well, and it looks for physical landmarks like road signs and reflectors and just random signs along the road. Physical landmarks to maintain its position, and it follows the road with no headlights, no visible light available.
So this may not be as cool as that, but the coolest thing I've seen a self-driving car or self-driving feature is the parallel park.
Yeah, I still feel like that's possibly witchcraft. There's a little voodoo man down inside the engine shaking his junk at it, just and it works. Much like all computer wizardry.
Oh, computer wizardry. There's a squirrel in there, I tell you.
Indeed.
And the squirrel is making it happen.
Yeah, I've not been in a vehicle that's self-parked yet. I've been in vehicles that can, and we just didn't have an opportunity to try. Because you got to parallel park. You have to need to parallel park to test the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And there's not so much parallel parking as in this part of the world.
Yeah.
Texas is huge. They have room for parking lots for everything.
That's true. Speaking of Texas, I have purchased airfare.
Oh, fantastic.
I have also reserved a place to stay.
Even better.
I'm going to stay at the same place I stayed last time.
That's great. That's wonderful.
Except it's no longer ran by the hotel.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they sold it to like some lady.
Huh.
And she puts it up on Airbnb.
Well, it was a nice place, so that should be fun. It'll work out good. We'd get Ryan and everyone to come down at the same time, I'd imagine, because it's the perfect time.
I'm going to say if you want to come. If not, that's your loss.
Yeah, that's what we'll do.
But what I'm thinking is Star Party for sure. For sure, man. Go up to the observatory. I will probably call Donna Roman or send her an email. See if her husband still works up there. Maybe get a private Star Party. Oh, who knows?
Pulling in all them fancy contacts. I see how it is. This does nothing to assuage Spud's assertion that you are an elitist.
You know what? I can't help it, okay? I like good things for my friends, and she is just a person who likes to live in the middle of nowhere.
I would like to be elitist, I just can't afford it yet.
But that's why you're the original hipster.
I am the original hipster. All evidence does suggest, and that is very alarming to me.
The other thing that I think, another evening activity, because Krista is highly skeptical, is the Marphalites.
Oh.
Or are the Marphalites.
Huh. Me and Ryan spent a good couple hours out there working that one out, and we think we know what it is.
Oh. So, for those that are listening that have no idea what we are referring to, the Marfa Lights are a phenomena out in the desert in between Alpine, Texas and Marfa, Texas.
Home of the Marfa Prada store.
Home of. Wait. It's not the Valentine has the Prada store.
It's halfway between the two. Everyone calls it the Marfa Prada store.
But it's like in Valentine.
Oh, did you see the news that we got a Target too?
What?
Yeah, there's the Marfa Target now.
It's like out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, it's on one of the old railroad buildings along between Alpine and Marfa. Someone put like the Target logo and name up on a building.
Oh, so it's just okay.
It's another piece of bizarre art installation. Allow us to continue explaining. The Marfa Prada store is effectively a storefront with the left shoes of about a half a dozen Prada shoes in the window, behind glass, with lights and all the fixtures, and that's all it is. You can't go inside. There's no actual store. It's just this facade that says Prada. And it's an art installation, and it's designed to confuse passersby.
And when it was first built, it took about 2 weeks for someone to break into it and steal all the left shoes. And then they put in new shoes.
I think it is an ingress point, though.
Yes, it is. It is an ingress portal. But anyway, back to the Marfa Lights, which are, interestingly enough, these glowing orbs of light off in the distance that move and do things that lights shouldn't do. And
they're very far from the road, and there's been much conjecture over the years of what they are. There's claims they've been spotted as far back as the 1800s, which pretty much puts to rest the claim that it's car headlights on the highway way down across the horizon. Then there's the theory that it's swamp gas, but it's not in a swamp, so that doesn't work very well. There's the theory that it is ball lightning, but ball lightning being the schizophrenic phenomenon that it is, that shouldn't be as consistent as it is. And then you start wandering into the weird stuff like it's the spirits of Native Americans wandering the desert and so on and so forth.
Don't forget my personal favorite. They're the delusions of really drunk people.
Yeah, but I saw them dead sober, so it makes it more interesting. But I have a pretty good theory as to what it is, but I don't remember how to explain it properly.
I have this great theory.
I can't pronounce all the words involved in this theory.
But I don't remember it.
Yeah, it's a lot like that. Well, the gist of it is there are certain mineral substances that phosphoresce under pressure. There are some quartz and crystalline structures that do this, from what I remember from the little geology I've ever learned.
And these structures float?
They do not, but we spent several hours watching them, and they never actually rise above the horizon. And it lends itself to a possibility that there are fault lines containing the appropriate minerals scattered in the desert out there, which is a geologically active desert. And minor shifts in tectonic pressure cause lights to appear.
Huh.
That's my theory, because it's a perfectly scientifically reasonable theory based on the geology I understand from out here. Because there's... And, like I said, from my observations, I've never seen them rise above the horizon. They all seem to appear more, if you're looking at them from the right angle, they basically seem to appear along a huge hillside out in the very far distance. And because it's night and optical illusions are awesome, that they appear, they rise up, and they disappear, but they never cross the horizon of the distance, which means they could be traveling up fault lines that rise vertically on that far hill.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I know.
All a theory, but it's the least crazy one I've ever heard.
The best story I know about the Marfa Lights is when I was a sophomore in college. This guy named Chase, who was on the baseball team, him and a buddy got drunk and went out to the Marfa Lights, and they totaled his truck trying to chase after them in the desert.
That's a great way to total a truck, because there's a lot of cool stuff out there to run over and ruin things on.
I know. Yeah, we were just drunk and we decided we'd go catch it. I cracked the block on my truck.
Sounds about right.
Oh, keel hauling, or what's a good word? Peel hauling? Peeling? What's for like going really fast?
Rampaging.
Rampaging through the West Texas desert, and like, crummy college truck.
Yeah. In the interests of fairness, though, I will air the final theory for the Marfalites. That is one of my least favorites, but it's a lot of fun to play with. The astute observer will have gotten on Google Earth and looked at the Marfalites viewing station and realized that it is smack dab at the old entrance to the old military base that used to reside in the desert there.
Uh-huh.
Which opens up a bevy of conspiracy theory possibilities.
Are you talking about unidentified flying objects?
I'm talking about military cover-ups and conspiracies, boys and girls. All the options are on the table. You get to decide what you think the Marfalites are.
Ooh. It's like a choose-your-own-adventure in conspiracy.
Yeah, it's downright out there.
I've been watching The X-Files.
I've been watching them, and I took a hiatus because I'm nearly to the end of the season, which leads me into having to watch the movie. And I want to do that.
Which season is that?
I think I'm in season 5 or 6. I know I'm being careful because I don't want to accidentally skip the movie. I want to put, because it leads into the next season after that.
Yeah.
So
I'm almost done with season 2.
Oh,
or is it season 3?
You started way over.
Well, yeah, I started at the very beginning.
Indeed. See, and the whole reason I'm watching the X-Files from the very beginning is so I can watch the new episodes.
Same here.
Yeah, because it won't be right if I don't.
I have to say that I am thoroughly enjoying rewatching these shows.
So am I. Most of it holds up really well. There's a few one-off of the Monster of the Week style episodes that are kind of just, you could have lived without that one.
Like the pseudo-vampire one?
Yeah, and some stuff like that. But, most of them are really entertaining and well-made show.
Cancer Man.
Cancer Man.
Cancer Man.
Oh, Cancer Man.
It made me miss the Smoking Guns.
Oh, yeah.
It also made me really sad that their spin-off show just didn't take at all.
I'm told, and I can't remember if this is apocryphal or not, that the Cancer Man character was written into the show after a few of the early episodes he was in because fans basically demanded to know who he was and why he was there. And he was just basically supposed to be a one-off character, but the fan response to his ominous presence was so big that they built up a role around him.
Yeah, because, the mystery.
Yeah, he's very ominous, and he does a good job of being that way.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so, yeah, that's what I've been spending my time with, that and looking for apartments.
Still with the apartments.
Yeah, it's so annoying. People, it's great. It's like, hey, this one looks great, and I, look it up on Google Earth. I go down, I was like, nah, I'm pretty sure those pictures aren't indicative of what that place really looks like.
Yeah. There's some great examples. I ran into a gallery of that where people compared real photographs to the realtor photographs. Mm-hmm. And they've got a way with lenses to make rooms look much bigger than they really are.
Oh, yeah, those widening lenses.
It looks like you've got giant Sotil tile kitchen, and it's actually half-foot square tiles and the thing's the size of a matchbox.
Yeah. This place today, though, it really takes the cake. I mean, the floor, there was no even part of the floor.
Oh, I love that. You get to experience shimming in all the greatest ways.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I could put a marble in the center of the floor, and it would spiral out.
Wow, that is the most scathing review of a floor I have ever heard. You know, most people, oh, the marble will roll across the room, or the marble will roll to the center of the room. Putting a marble in the middle of the room and having it spiral outward, I've never heard that before. That is the least level house I've ever heard of. Thank you.
Yeah, it was bad. We went into the kitchen. Okay, so we also realized that there's a couple of things that just make sense, like having your kitchen near your living room.
Yeah.
Right? So this place had the living room and the kitchen on the other side of the unit down a long hallway that passed by these two matchbox bedrooms.
Lovely.
Right. And then inside the kitchen, the stove was off in a corner with like a little shelf built next to it.
Right.
And then there were the overhanging shelves near the sink and everything. But there was nothing underneath them. And we're like, oh, what are you doing? Because so it looks very unfinished.
Yeah.
It looks like they're like putting in new things or whatnot. And they're like, oh, so what are y'all doing in here? Is the stove going over there? Oh, no, that's where the stove belongs. We expect people to put the table underneath the cabinet.
Wow. I imagine that was pretty much a mic drop and walk out on that.
Well, it was a mic drop at the uneven floor, but you know, it's like a train wreck.
You can't look away. You got to see just
away.
how bad it really gets.
Yeah, you have to experience it.
You know, and I've lived in houses that were built in approximately 16 additions, and nothing's the same in any room. But I think yours sounds worse.
Oh, no. So, take that place on 12th and Dawson that we lived on.
Oh, that was a great place.
Yeah, but it was built in like 7 additions.
Yeah, and it was still great.
Yeah, it was still great. But like, take the mix match of that, multiply it times 2, throw in a non-level floor, and a landlord who's like, oh yeah, we'll paint that.
Maybe.
Maybe.
I love the showers in that house on 12th Street.
Oh, yeah.
Because they were tall.
They were tall.
You could get under the shower head without having to crouch.
Yeah.
It's the greatest thing in the world. If you're short enough to fit under a shower head, you should consider yourself fortunate.
Yay, I'm fortunate.
Yay, fortunate.
So yeah, that's been my and that's just like the icing on the cake, man. Like there should be laws against being dishonest in realty postings.
Yeah. The greatest I think I ever experienced in house hunting was me and someone else were looking for a place, and we went to see this. It was a trailer house, which is what you can get here a lot of the time. And we're going through it, and he's like, yeah, we just put a new floor in the kitchen, and it's a trailer house, so it's okay. It's a new trailer house floor. It's not bad. But there's a strange smell in the house, and we're kind of wondering about that. And we're looking around, going, and then in the back bedroom, there is a 2-foot square hole in the ceiling with birds flying in and out. And and the landlord says, yeah, we'll see if we can get that fixed before you move in. It was a scathing no at that point, because we'll think about getting that fixed before you moved in is kind of a, we're not going to fix that hole. You're going to live with a hole in this bedroom.
Yeah, that's like one of those moments of like, hey, I need to go check something out in my car. Just wait right here.
Yeah, I left my brain in my car, and I got to go drive away with it.
I just have to go. I just have to go check.
I just remembered I left my cat in the oven and need to go home.
Yeah.
You get any excuse.
Yeah, any excuse. My excuse today was, thanks for showing us. And then we walk out.
Those are some of the best.
So,
it reminds me of my very first car I ever looked at buying, actually.
Oh?
Yes, I'll try to tell this story quickly. It was a probably 80-ish, 80s, mid-80s model Subaru car. I think it was a hatchback. Right. So, we've had Subaru's cars in the past. My family has. They're bomb-proof cars. They're 300,000 miles and still running like a top. So anyways, we go and look at this car. And it's a little rough, It's an old car. And so the lady's telling us about it. She's like, yeah, it's got this many miles. I don't remember how many miles it was, too long ago, and I've slept since then. But the important details was she goes, well, it doesn't have an air conditioner because I'm from New Mexico and you don't need them in New Mexico, so I took it out.
Wait, what?
The air conditioner had been removed from the engine compartment. So that was, eyebrows slapped into my hairline, and okay, that's interesting. But we're still trying to be polite, so we're like, all right, well, we'll give it a test drive. And so she opens the door, and I get in, and she's like, okay, to start it, you turn the key to on, you take this light switch on the dashboard, which is like a light switch from your house, flip it to on, wait for the engine to crank and start, and then flip the light switch off. At that point, I was extremely skeptical as to whether or not I wanted to continue talking to this person, let alone drive their car. So we agreed to take it in a circle around the block, at which point I discover that the driver's side seat is not actually fastened to the vehicle. It is simply sitting on the floor on the driver's side of the car. Because I needed to adjust the seat, and that consisted of picking it up and moving it. Once we made it back to the place where we were test driving it from, we got out, said, thanks for your time, and left as very quickly as we possibly could.
Yeah, that's pretty terrible. That's the kind of thing where I don't think I would have had the fortitude to even get in the car. I think I would have been terrified of the car just bursting into flames as I rounded the first corner.
Yeah, it was a good possibility.
So good job on taking life into that lady's janky car's hands.
Yeah. So anyways, that's where we're at.
Yeah. That's where we're at.
We've driven terrible cars and seen terrible houses.
Which I think that's a good amount of stuff. Let's go into the quotes.
Ah, yes. Quotes.
What would be your quote for the day?
I picked this one. This is Jimmy Williams. I don't remember who Jimmy Williams is, but he apparently said this. He says, half of my mistakes are from inexperience, half are from moving too quick, and half are from not double-checking my calculations.
I'm thinking about it. Okay, I get it.
Yeah.
I can kind of groove with that.
I believe I stole this off of a woodworking forum where Jimmy said this. Because half are from not checking my calculations.
So mine is from Shannon L. Alder. And this is kind of pertinent because we had to restart the recording for the podcast earlier because I went full ADHD and forgot what I was doing.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So not enough people realize that ADHD is not a disorder about loss of focus. It is a disorder of loss of emotional control, which is triggered by outside influences, self-esteem, and our interpretation of events. Whether this is positive or negative, it triggers us to hyper-focus on what consumes our thoughts. Staying positive is critical, and distancing oneself from hurtful people is essential in order to live a life with purpose.
Sounds right to me.
Yeah, I have to actually say, I really agree with that quote. Because I find that if I'm around hurtful people, in order to keep my mind straight, I drop them like a bad habit.
That's probably the best thing to do.
But, yeah, ADHD logic.
ADHD logic.
It's like, you're now unuseful to me and disinteresting to me. I no longer am friends with you. Bye.
Yeah. I've known a few people I'm no longer friends with because they are unpleasant to be around.
Yes. And I would say leading from that into the world of Jade.
Ah, yes. How jaded are you today?
I say I'm at a 4.
Oh, a 4.
Yeah, it's a little bit better.
That's pretty good.
I've been riding high the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, I'm doing about the same, about a 4. I could be more jaded, but I haven't reached the fulcrum of suctitude. And, things are doing okay. I don't drive a car with the air conditioner removed, so that's a high point in my life.
If you were to forecast your jaded meter for next week after inventory is done.
It'll drop down to like a 2 or a 3 or a 1 even for a brief
Really?
period because it's over and you don't have to think about it. It's
So what you're saying is, if I'm to get a high jaded score out of you, we need to do a podcast right in the middle of inventory.
pretty much.
Well, I'm good. If you're good, please, everybody, please continue to listen. Give us some reviews. We got our first review on the old iTunes. Thank you to Nova Smiles.
I found one more quote that I remembered that
Oh,
relates
wow.
directly to my jaded meter and the upcoming
Gosh darn it.
inventory.
Uh-huh.
And it goes like this. And it's by Sir John Harvey Jones. It says, "The nice thing about not planning is that failure comes as a complete surprise, rather than being preceded by a period of worry and depression."
Got it.
The point, and the way this relates is when you can see inventory coming, it's the same thing as planning. And so it's your life is, filled with worry and depression. And once it's over, it's all lifted away because there's nothing you can do about it now.
Nothing you can do about it now.
Yeah. That's the nice thing about not planning. I like it. At least you get surprises that way.
True.
So
True.
I had every intention and expectation that would work. I am completely shocked.
All right. Anything else?
I believe that's it.
So,
I have been, in that case,
leave reviews on iTunes for us. Good or bad.
good or bad.
Send us an email.
Send us an email at proteuspodcast@gmail.com.
We'll read the first email that comes to us.
We will
Good or
read the
bad.
first email, good or bad.
Yes, that means we haven't gotten one yet. Makes
Follow
Jake
us on
cry,
Twitter
too.
if you Twitter to get an alert when we post a new podcast.
Which would be great, because we're reliable, if nothing else.
And apparently you can follow us on a thing called Stitcher.
Which is great if you use Stitcher.
If you know what Stitcher is, I recommend you follow us. Anyways,
So-
I've been Jacob.
And I'm still Danielle.
And we have been the Proteus Podcast. Good night, everyone.
Good night.